I guess the whole premise of this video, why your photography matters, seems to come from a place of me saying that my photography matters.
Really, before I can say anything about why any photo matters, I should first say why I feel like most photography pretty much doesn't matter.
Think about your general experience looking at other people's photography.
Maybe you're thinking of a famous, successful photographer and you've looked through their photo book dozens of times.
Or someone you follow on Instagram and you put a like on all of their pictures.
Now put that in perspective of all the images you've ever seen and thought, that's a good photo.
That's probably an extremely small percentage. And how much time do you actually spend with those images? Very little.
Well then, think of your own photography.
For me, I've already forgotten most of the pictures I've taken and shared online.
Then for lots of them, I can look at them and they'll jog my memory back to that day, that place, that week.
But the memory isn't readily available.
And then maybe there's like a dozen that I can think about right off the top of my head, my favorites, my portfolio.
But at the end of the day, I can remember my work way more than anyone else's I've ever seen.
This is natural and should be obvious.
And it should inform part of the reasoning behind why your photography matters and why it doesn't.
It comes down to where you get your validation from.
Artists can be very hard on themselves and not be satisfied with like any of their work, even the work that they've published.
Maybe your validation comes from other people telling you your work is good, touching, memorable, whatever it may be.
And you might not be satisfied with the photo until you get that sort of reaction.
On the other hand, validation can come from within.
You don't care what anyone has to say about your work.
Suppose you hope they enjoy it, but nobody can tell you it's bad because it's yours and you're happy with it.
Then of course you could fall in the middle or receive a combination of both.
So you post your pictures on Instagram. Now what?
Maybe you have a huge following and get hundreds of likes, or maybe a small one and you only get 3 or 4.
In the end, how different is it really to get 5 likes, 50, 500, or even 5,000 likes?
Regardless of the sum of likes and eyes that saw your images, who is most likely to remember it?
You. Maybe your closest friends, spouse, or family members.
If it's particularly memorable, that is.
So ask yourself, where does your validation come from?
If the stock is in likes, well, I hate to say that might just be an arbitrary number and not something more concrete like it might feel.
Don't get me wrong here. I think there is tremendous value in sharing your work. I do it all the time.
I probably even overshare my work.
Why do I do it if most of my photo montages don't get past 20 views and on Instagram I average 3 likes?
I voluntarily share my work, and what I put out there ends up being more or less how people can view me, if they so wish to.
I don't expect anything from it, but I'm happy to share who I am.
Sharing my work can get me feedback and help me improve.
It keeps me accountable to keep going out and taking more photos.
And it can help me connect with other artists.
Those people I can connect with might get a general idea of my style, my personality, and I theirs.
And then that work I posted kind of becomes my first introduction, my first hello.
Even if eventually, or even sooner than eventually, that person might not remember a single photo of mine, nor I theirs.
You scroll through Instagram and see a photo, you like it, and you keep on scrolling, all in the span of a short few seconds.
An interaction through the internet that lasts so little surely can't be the end-all be-all of validation for your hard work to create art.
So where do I get my validation from?
Truthfully, it's a combination of both external and internal.
85% internal. I can see myself improve, or if I'm on a walk and I see this is an image and I successfully capture my vision, of course that's validating to me.
When my vision comes true and I'm meeting my goals with photography, that is the biggest validation for me.
The other 15% can fall down to 2 avenues.
I'll say 8 to 10% is from my wife, because when she looks at one of my photos and she points out that she likes it, it's really motivating.
The other 5 to 7% comes from external sources. Of course, I like getting views and likes just as much as any other person.
Well, maybe not quite as much as any other person, I'd say.
But it is satisfying when my work reaches a wider audience and is received well.
It's certainly not everything.
Maybe it's so cynical of me to say that 99.9% of the people who saw my picture spent 4 seconds with it and forgot it, in 15 seconds.
It works for me because anyway, I don't get too down if a photo does poorly in terms of likes and views.
I just get more validated if it does well instead.
So, does your photography matter?
Yeah, Absolutely, it should.
Just know that it should matter first to you.
And if other people like it too, that's great. That is more than most people ever get.
I think most artists make their best work when they're working for themselves and to satisfy their own visions, unclouded by external influences and trends.
I don't think all of my photography matters, not even most of it.
But there are some pictures that matter a whole lot to me, whether it's of a loved one, a great memory, or just a scene that, speaks to me.
And that's good enough for me.
Anything else is a bonus.
That works for me. It might not for you.
But if you're in a rut and you're not feeling like your work is worth anything,
You might just be looking to feel that worthiness in the wrong place.
thank you for watching this overly preachy video, cynically breaking down the worth of your images down to selfish desires.
If you want to hear more about my thoughts on photography, some gear reviews, or just look at photo montages, subscribe to my channel.
And with that, thanks for watching.